Hello, everyone, and welcome to Can I Just Say? From Common Room Radio. I'm Elizabeth Stevens.
And I'm Daphne Olive. And that's it. We're in the third part of our triptych.
That's right. Finishing up our Baz Luhrmann special.
Yes, this has been fun and interesting. Like, it's definitely been a walk through my personal history in some ways.
It's very nostalgic. Yes.
Yeah. Even though I have watched these movies since then, but it's very different when you watch it this way, when you know you're going to have something to say about it and you don't just like watch.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I hadn't seen Moulin Rouge. Well, I saw Moulin Rouge a million times in theaters because it came out when I was in high school and my friends worked at the movie theater. So I got to go in and see it for free. I saw it probably 7 times, and I had my friend Randy Mitchell, who used to produce Fathoms Deep for us, got me the soundtrack. So I listened to the soundtrack a million times in my car, driving everywhere. It was. I mean, I knew it backwards and forwards and all of the harmonies. So it was a huge part of my high school experience. I watched it again a couple of years ago and thought, this doesn't hold up at all, and then watched it again here for the show. And got to kind of relive the magic of it.
That's so cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever lost the magic of it. Although watching it now, I definitely have things to say that are not about the magic, which is really
like
interesting for me.
The reverse situation. You used to watch it with all this love and delight, and you start to watch it with a critical eye, and you think, oh, God.
A little bit, but although, I mean, still love and delight. I mean, there are moments in this film that I have to just... No notes, no paying attention to anything else, just really sink into the beauty of it, which is wonderful too.
It is beautiful. Does this one make you cry?
In the opposite way than you would think. Like this one, then that actually goes into the question I wanted to ask you in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this one makes me cry at the lovely moments. I don't cry.
That.
I don't cry at the end.
I am absolutely moved in those lovely moments for sure.
But before we get into the songs, which is actually where I want to start, I wanted to bring up our third piece of the Coca-Cola logo.
Of course, which is in prominent display in this movie.
I know, I was so amused. Last episode, we were like, I wonder if it's in Moulin Rouge. And then I think I watched it before you,
yes.
And I tweeted... I think I Instagrammed it even and texted you. It was like, oh shit, it is on Christian's balcony.
It's just everywhere. You see it a million times. Yes.
So, and I really like it because we have variations. In Strictly Ballroom, we had the actual Coca-Cola logo,
right,
as we talked about quite a bit. In Romeo and Juliet, you had it at that background. It's a little bit more subtle. You notice it. I totally did not notice it. And it says... Wherefore art l'amour.
Uh-huh.
And this one says l'amour fou, crazy love.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
No, and it's interesting because the l'amour part is lit up all the time.
Right.
And the fou is there. It's there. It's down to the bottom right.
I didn't even see it.
It is not lit up, but it's there.
Wow.
So I like that variant.
Yes.
I have another bit of trivia because I decided then I wanted to see if Baz Luhrmann put this in later films. There is nothing on the internet saying that it was in Gatsby or other films, but it was in his production that he did of La Boheme.
Oh, of course. Well, and Moulin Rouge is supposed to be basically a retelling of La Boheme, right? I'm not very familiar with La Boheme, but La Boheme and Rent and Moulin Rouge are all kind of the same idea.
Has elements of. So that's what Wikipedia told me,
right,
is that Moulin Rouge has elements of La Boheme. It's not a retelling of it exactly, but and there is that moment, which I didn't notice until my last watch. There is the moment right when everything gets chaos in the last scene, in the last performance, once Christian and Satine are exposed from the backstage to the fore part of the stage. I think it's the Argentinian who screams La Boheme, and that's when they switch. That's when they drop the script and just start singing their Revolution song.
Wow, I didn't notice. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's all kind of lovely. But yes, I'm so amused with us that we didn't catch that.
No,
that we didn't immediately.
Well, you would have to, I think, watch them several times to get that. Well, I mean, it's an advertisement. That's what advertisements do, right? You see them, but you don't see them.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
No, it is right. It's a beautiful use of logo I don't know, manipulation, I
Yes.
guess is what I want to call it. But
Yeah.
I was just so amused because it is literally in the beginning. You go from the Moulin Rouge to a view of his balcony, and it's like,
and it's right there.
right there.
Yes.
All of the action is happening around it. And again, it's a balcony. I love that too, that again, it's a balcony. And for me, like there are a bunch of things where I feel like we're going to have to talk about how this story references Strictly Ballroom, but inverts stuff.
Oh,
but again,
lovely.
we have a balcony where much of the
romance happens.
Romance
Sure.
and the stuff that people like you brought this up in Strictly Ballroom, the things that people you would think would be hiding but are doing on a balcony. So it's
of course, that's
right in
right.
plain sight.
Yes.
So it has that
That's
element as
right.
well, like that commonality with Strictly Ballroom. Like I feel like overall, I mean, we'll go through this, but like my sense is that Romeo and Juliet has elements that tie to both of those two, but that Strictly Ballroom and Moulin Rouge to me feel very tied to each other, although things get inverted.
Yeah,
And I think
I can see that.
that is a great, like, I'm going to bring those things up because I think
Wonderful.
that brings out a lot about this story.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Okay. I do love talking stories with you.
It's so much fun.
It's pretty good fun.
But my first question is, I wanted to talk about which uses of song. I mean, this is, for me, kind of like, I experienced this movie on multiple levels, but like partly it's the beauty. And partly I like just my analytical brain just always gets so excited about how they used modern songs
Yes.
and like mash them together and use them for meaning. So I wanted to know like which songs like really hit you that way, like really like get to kind of your emotions about this.
You mean the ones, specifically the ones that are modern music that are pulled in, or like pop
Just-
music, or just in general?
Yeah. Well, almost all of it is stuff from pop music. Almost, I think the only song that was written for, I mean, some of them get altered and have extra lines, but the only thing that was actually written for Moulin Rouge is the, their special song.
Come What May.
Yeah, the Come What May. Which
What about
actually,
the
I
Fly
also-
Away
wait,
song? I don't know that one. The One Day I'll Fly Away. Is that?
I can look that up. I'm pretty sure that actually does come from somewhere else also.
It's possible. For some reason, I had in my head that it was those two, but it's sure possible.
Wikipedia told me.
Okay. Well, Wikipedia knows stuff.
Wikipedia told me not only that the Come What May is the only original song, but also that was actually written for Romeo and Juliet, and they didn't end up using it.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Neat, right?
That is
kind of
neat.
cool?
I do remember it being nominated for Best Original Song, and the two of them performing it at the Oscars.
Wow, I don't remember that at all, and I love the Oscars. That's
It
so
was
cool.
very poor. You might be misremembering on purpose.
Fair.
I remember thinking, they may have been auto-tuned a bit, like somebody edited and produced,
Right.
which is
Yes.
fine. Like, they're not Broadway stars. That is completely
Nope.
fine. That is not a cheat. That's beautiful.
Right.
They're actors doing, but I feel like maybe somebody should have said, thank you, but no thank you. You should have someone else perform the song.
Oh, you know what? Also, I was in Israel for the Oscars that year.
That might do it too. I
Right.
remember this because Nicole Kidman was also up for Best Actress. And I wanted her to win it because I love the movie so much, of course. But they played the clip. You know, they played the little clips. They played
You cannot watch this as a clip. You cannot watch anything in this movie as a
you
clip.
can't. But she has a lot of very intense emotional scenes, right? But they played for the clip for her Best Actress nomination of her rolling around on the floor in the fur.
Oh, right. Of course. Yes, right. Which
The
is not at all
worst
my favorite
scene,
part.
just
right.
the worst scene, and I think we can all agree the worst scene in the movie. It does not play or work for me
Yes.
at all. And Nicole Kidman looked legitimately embarrassed, and also like, "What are you doing? Why would you pick that?"
Oh, right. Because there are definitely
There are
scenes
definite scenes that were beautiful where she did extraordinary work. Yeah, although I have to say that most of it doesn't necessarily work for me.
she is not the strongest part of this film.
I really don't think that she is. I like
Nope,
her very
not
much,
at all.
and she's gorgeous in Australia. So when he uses her again, I think that, or I remember her being wonderful in Australia anyway. But yeah, not my favorite here.
No, again, there are moments where it has magic overall.
Absolutely.
But yes, you're right. And that would be a very bad clip. And yes, I did not see that Oscars.
That clip, I mean, that scene is almost unwatchable anyway, I feel like. But then as the clip at the Oscars, it was cringeworthy. It was cringeworthy.
I want to talk about that scene. I
Okay.
agree with you that it is cringeworthy, and I think it has purpose. Like, I think that relates to my whole quiet and noise
Of
thing.
course. Of course.
But before that, tell me let's talk about which songs really...
Yes, I'm sorry. It was always the Elephant Love Medley when I watched it the billion times in theaters. Like, that's what I was there for. I could come in just for that part alone. But it was the combination of the music and the visuals were so stunning in that. But I think the song that gives the most emotional resonance to me is Roxanne.
Yeah, me too.
That's, God, so powerfully done. Just
Yes.
gorgeous and powerful.
Made an appearance at the Olympics just now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Oh, goodness. People are going to be upset with me that there's
This was the
ice
figure
dancing
skaters.
couple.
Yes.
They're ice dancers that like people are so into, and I got to watch a little bit of them, and they are amazing, and I got to see them do the Roxanne thing, but part of me was so excited, and part of me's like, I don't know if they really are understanding what's going on in this song.
The
if they're
context
using
is,
it for
for
like straight romance.
right?
But it was a beautiful skate, and it was really fun, and I'm just thrilled that it was just kind of neat, the timing, like
Of course. Yeah. That's
right
fantastic.
when we had Baz Luhrmann kind of jumping around. So yeah, I agree complete with you about those two songs. And
wonderful.
yeah, those are the two moments.
Yes. Yeah, I would completely agree.
Yeah, and I made myself like look at the stuff I like less, and that was also very interesting. Oh, can I say real quickly though that when we were talking about the Oscars, this is where Catherine Martin did win her Oscar for production.
She
design.
did. That's right. That's
Yes.
right.
So-
I do remember cheering for something that they won.
Yes.
Was that the only
it would
Oscar
be
that
that.
it took? It was
I don't
nominated for a lot of Oscars, but it did not walk away with very many.
And it's credited, which is really interesting, for having brought back movie musicals.
I remember that they were trying to like almost soft launch it and prepare the culture for it. I remember them trying to explain, now Moulin Rouge is not maybe what you expect it to be. So, but also not completely showing their hand as it being a musical. And then we went through that weird thing where that's how they did trailers for musicals. We're like, hey, is this a musical? Like you can't tell
that's so
on the
funny,
trailer
because they were so
'Cause they were
people
afraid.
so right, because we had so long of a period of people really not liking movie musicals.
Yeah. I think
Which is
it was
funny
the
to think
next
about
year.
now.
Was it the next year that Chicago came out and like swept the Oscars?
Oh, I don't know if it was the
It was
next
really
year, but yeah,
soon.
it was. After,
It was on
right,
the heels of it. Yeah.
Right.
Moulin Rouge paved the way, certainly so.
Oh, that's so interesting. I love that. I really like that. So yeah, whatever we have to say about parts that we like less, like that is that's neat. Like that's just legitimately just a really fantastic thing.
It
to
was
have
a
brought.
revolutionary movie.
Yeah, neat. I like that. Alrighty. So shall we let's talk about the structure of it. Because this is using two devices that I like a lot, and I don't remember how you feel about it. So
Okay.
the two devices, I mean, this does, like with Romeo and Juliet, we know it's a tragedy from the beginning.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And also, like the same thing with Romeo and Juliet, we got kind of a montage of like scenes from the whole movie in the beginning, kind of flashing before our eyes, and here we got it in the music,
Yes.
which is also kind of neat. Like, so that's a neat structure. But right, so we have the bookends of knowing it's going to be a tragedy, and that well, it's not even bookends because we do kind of visit with Christian throughout the post Satine Christian. So we have that kind of device of that we know that we're being told a story that he's telling us. So there's that, and embedded in that is knowing it's a tragedy. And the thing that I adore is the story within the story, that they reflect on each other.
Yes. That part works for me even more. I like being told a story very much, but broody, angsty, sobbing Christian doesn't really work for me personally. not my type of dude.
Fair.
So,
Fair.
so it's fine, but I could do without it. I would, and I also, if they had skipped the whole "the woman I loved is dead" thing and just moved straight into when I first went to the Moulin Rouge, my father said, if they just started there, that would have been a lot more fun and would have worked for me. I feel like a little bit better. But the story within a story part and the play that they put on that mirrors their story is gorgeous. I love that.
So I wanted to ask you, there's a movie that I probably, when I saw this, reminded me of, because it was a movie that I'd only seen once or twice, but like really, really has stuck with me to this day, is in 1983. There are actually 2 movies that came out based on Carmen, but one of them is also this, that it's a flamenco group that were doing a flamenco version of Carmen, and it's the same sort of thing that like the director and the star end up having a romance, and
gorgeous.
They, while they're doing the production, actually kind of play out the story of Carmen themselves. I need to track that down. It's beautiful.
I don't remember. It is. That sounds amazing.
I don't remember
I don't know that
much about it. It's gorgeous. And I must have, like, because I know every time I see Moulin Rouge, I always think, I need to, exactly that. I think, I need to track down that film that I saw back in the 80s. But yeah, I really love that. And I love, again, I just like cleverness. Like, I love the cleverness of there's certain moments where, like the moment where he asks her, will the lovers be meeting in the
sitar like, players humble abode scene?
Right. And then she's like, the lovers will be meeting.
Yes. So silly.
I love that. It gives me joy. And then how Ziegler like calls out and the next scene is the lovers will be discovered.
Yes. No, there's a lot of it that's really fun. The one that always cracks me up is that little montage where it shows them going on like picnics and stuff where they end up being like, it's basically a date for Satine and Christian, but the Duke thinks it's a date that's with him. And then he goes over, oh my dear, little frog. Every time cracks me up and then runs over and like squishes it. It's so silly. Yeah. But a lot of fun.
Silly. And also like how it's done, because you kind of see Paris in the background. Like they're almost like floating in space. There's just a lot of like, Baz Luhrmann took all of his absurdity and like
turned it up to 11.
Really did.
Yes. Which is why I would say of all 3 movies, I can see where this one doesn't work for people the most. Like this one it's a strong flavor. It's blue cheese, like you're either a real big fan or wow, get this out of my salad.
Right. And well, that's the funny thing. Like I was watching the first time I watched it this week, I was so amused myself because before I fell in love with Hamilton, I kept saying, I don't like musicals. And I was just like, oh my God, really? I like this. Therefore I like musicals.
Of course.
I also love Grease. I mean, I don't know why I used
what are you
to say
talking about that you don't love musicals don't like musicals? That's so silly.
I had a period where I guess I said that for no real reason. I don't know. But
what you meant was I don't watch musicals very much.
Yes. I know. I also love West Side Story. Like
I was going to say, there's no way. Crazy. Singing in the Rain? You have to love Singing in the Rain,
yeah,
right?
I do. So it's just so amusing to me.
Yeah.
Because yes, this one is just pulling out all of the stops on the absurdity.
Definitely so.
Really, really love that. But yeah, I do.
Do you remember your first impressions having watched when you watched it the first time?
Bizarrely, I don't. I mean, that's so weird because I remember so much with the other 2 movies. I don't remember even where I saw it. I definitely saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I was with.
I remember that when it started with Nature Boy and Toulouse singing, that I thought that it was neat, but still wasn't quite sure. Then it got really zany for a second, and the unconscious Argentinian falling through the roof, and I was, what is happening? I don't know if I like this. And then kind of getting the Sound of Music joke. I'm like, okay. But then as soon as Ewan McGregor turned on the twinkle charm and did the big smile and sang "The Hills Are Alive," I was like, holy crap, I am in 100%. I'm here for this ride. I don't know where we're going, but I'm here.
So I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about these 2 moments where we go from zany to Ewan McGregor. The second one is the rolling around on the inside of the elephant when they're rolling around and she's doing her like totally not sexy routine and all of that.
This is the interesting thing about Satine is she's a terrible actress. She's a truly terrible actress. And that part Nicole Kidman did on purpose.
Right.
So it's like, I get that. But wow, she's real bad though.
Yeah. Yes. But this is what I love is that both times, I mean, I think that this was a very deliberate thing. Like, remember, like, the thing that I quoted of Baz Luhrmann about how each film was about a different form of art. And this is about song, which is about poetry, basically.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And in both cases, you have you just full tilt wackiness until the moment when Christian, kind of finds his voice and will sing something, and then everything stops.
Yes.
So
I think there was also that moment with Satine too. In the first time he goes to the Moulin Rouge and she's spotlighted and they turn around in the tuxes and oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Yeah. Right. No, he really is masterful the way he plays his hand with those moments in this particular movie. I think he's really kind of got a handle on it by now. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like what he's saying there is that there's a difference between kind of for me, this says there's a difference between the chaos of wanting to just be bohemian. I mean, especially because of the history of the Moulin Rouge, that it was like a place where rich people would go to like have a taste of the underworld. Like he keeps talking about them being part of the underworld. So it was like, so again, going back to that difference, that theme that does seem to be in all three films of like the difference between kind of a performative version of yourself and your true self. Is that you have the chaos, which is about like, wanting to be part of something. And then this moment where somebody who actually has that spark can truly inspire someone and change the direction.
Oh, yeah, I do like that very much. Well, I like how they keep talking to Christian about how he is a true bohemian. Like he embodies these ideals. And he's not trying to be something. He just is. Like he's not posturing. He just is the embodiment of this movement.
Right. So that's exactly it. So I feel like that's what keeps happening is that he keeps getting put in with people who want to be something.
Yes.
And they're very performative about it. And I'm not saying that as necessarily as a judgment. Like, we haven't started on my John Leguizamo love, but like I love Toulouse. And
God, we have to talk about Toulouse's sadness. We have to.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, we do. But I feel like that is what's happening is that it's that same thing about being performative about what you're trying to be versus just actually being it.
Yeah, I like that.
So now I want to talk about the gender swap because if we're in relation to Strictly Ballroom, because I think that when we talk about muses, like remember we talked about muses, so I was very much like, there's the obvious thing here that Satine is literally Christian's muse because he's writing the book of their story.
Right.
But if we're looking at this in relation to Strictly Ballroom, and I guess anyone who didn't watch Strictly Ballroom and listen to our Strictly Ballroom episode, you're just going to have to like pause now, go back, watch that beautiful film, listen to us talk about it, because I'm definitely going to be referencing it a lot now. So in Strictly Ballroom, Scott is the one that comes from the performative world. He's the one who is more jaded and trying to break out of a mold that was set for him, but within that world. And Fran was the outsider who came in, who was the one who just had it.
Right.
And you have the same thing when they first meet or when they first talk to each other, is that he's doing his like crazy performative dancing.
Right.
And then she starts talking to him, and then she does a moment of her dance, and he's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when Satine's doing her Satine thing.
Sure. Oh, of course.
And then Christian starts to sing, wait,
Your
is it my
song.
song? Your song.
Your song.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Which this was the first time I ever heard Your Song. So then I heard, I
Oh
know.
my God.
I know. I just missed it because of the generational gap. Like I just missed it. So
Okay,
I
see,
heard the song and thought it was
also
lovely
now-
and beautiful. And then, of course, tracked down the original.
Right. Oh, see, I love Baz Luhrmann for like making people your age, because there are so many songs in there that are of my childhood. I mean, they're not even of like when I was a teenager, but like songs I grew up with as a little girl, like Elton John, that for me, it was like I understood almost all of the references because they were from stuff I had been hearing my whole life.
Of course.
But a lot of them were new for you. Oh, that's so interesting. But that moment where he starts to sing and then she just stops.
Yeah.
She stops all of her bullshit. And so that's why I feel like the absurdity but I remember when I first, that I do remember from my first watch was when she was doing all that writhing and weird noises and stuff. I was just like, oh shit, what has like I liked those other two movies, but what the fuck?
Exactly. Going off the rails, Baz. Going off the rails.
Right. But I think,
but you're right. He does it very purposefully that when
One
he does
could
rein
argue
it in,
that a little bit less might have been okay too.
I think he might. Yeah, a little overboard
for the effect
sometimes. Yes, yes, would agree. Well, and of course, like when we're in the Moulin Rouge, like it's got to be larger than life. It's got to be bright. It's got to be obnoxious. But that also
in the Moulin
carries
Rouge, it
on.
didn't bother me at all. See,
really?
That didn't bother me at all. No, that worked for me because they had just drank the absinthe.
Yeah,
so it was
I know.
Same thing like the party in Romeo and
No,
Juliet.
I know, but I just remember it being a little bit much for me at the time, and in theaters too. Like it was just a lot. So,
yeah.
But then when he distills it to that lovely moment where they all turn to look at her and she's up on the swing and comes down, like it's all worth it because you do get those
gorgeous
moments where you take a breath. Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's spotlight. I mean, it's like I said before, I think that he uses in a way that we notice the nuance of the quiet moments so much more because of the noise.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like I think I said this already in Strictly Ballad. Like it feels to me like a funnel. I always think of a funnel, like that you.
I like
all
that.
This stuff,
sure.
All this stuff, and then suddenly you get to this pinpoint, and then you just. It's like you're breathing differently. Yeah.
Oh, I like that very much.
So yeah, I love that, but I also love how it's used here because I really do think that this is basically a gender swap from Strictly Ballroom.
Yes.
That he's the innocent, he's the outsider, he's the one with kind of an inherent magic that other people are trying to do but don't necessarily have because they're so focused on the external. But on the flip side, and maybe this is also purposeful, like, we have these three films where one is a romance with a happy ending, Romeo and Juliet tragedy, a tragedy where both characters die. Like, so there's also an equality there.
Interesting.
And this one is a tragedy where one character dies and the other one then uses her in the way that I don't love in storytelling, where she becomes an object of his creativity. So that's what's interesting is like, we talked so much in Strictly Ballroom how like, yes, there's this moment where like you almost could argue that each of them is the muse for the other one because they're both so inspired by each other. I'm not sure how I feel about that here. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like there's an equality of that?
No. In fact, I feel like their relationship was actually very shallow and that it would end one way or another. Like, if she didn't die, they had another, 2 or 3 months before it just fizzles out into nothing, right?
Which is, not that I like the Duke, which is essentially what the Duke says.
That's what the Duke said. The Duke is not wrong in a lot of ways.
He's not wrong about
in a lot of
thing.
ways, is what I said. No. He is very wrong, very many times, exceptionally wrong. However, but I like that argument when he says, the Maharaja is offering a lifetime of security. That's real love. Once the sitar player has satisfied his lust, he's going to move on. And now. That's putting it a little bit harshly.
Well, yes, it is. And I want to think better of Christian because he does seem like a good boy.
Oh, no, sure. But he's
a boy.
Yes.
He's a boy.
And he is in love with love, not with Satine. And her too. She's in love with being seen and being, I don't even know if she's being seen, but she's in love with, again, romance. She's in love with romance.
Well, and she's in love with, I mean, she says to Ziegler, it's so interesting. She says to Ziegler, she says to Ziegler, you taught me that I'm only worth what people pay me for. And Christian loves me for who I am. And I'm like, but does he?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think so.
But the question is, are we supposed to think he does? Like, I think the film thinks, this is what I can't decide. Like, is the film, like, I came out of this watching it and wow, I feel really bad. I feel like everyone's coming into this podcast going like, hey, we're going to talk about like bright colors
it's obviously
and music.
Beautiful and bright and magical, but
right.
we also need to talk about the story and where the story works and doesn't work. Yeah.
Right. And gender's a real issue here. So
gender's a big problem.
Right. Gender's a big problem. And when I think the movie thinks that the story it's telling is the difference between love and not love, love and wanting to use people. But I think that the story, it's possibly unintentionally, I mean, if intentionally, I'll give it a lot of credit, but I think it's unintentionally telling us is that men can afford to be not practical and women have to be practical. And that's what I see now in it. And so the first place it comes in is right before, again, it's also combined. It's like right before my favorite medley on the elephant.
Right.
But he says that, what I should have written down the actual quote, but like,
I probably know it if you start it.
Okay. Where he talks about a life without love. And he says like how, that's so horrible, a life without love. And she's
that's terrible. And she says, no, living on the street. That's terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the movie right there. Like I think that they think that the medley afterwards about love, and again, I enjoy that. I will always enjoy that. There's no way that medley won't work for me.
Yeah, but she is right in the medley and he is not, I think. Or long term.
And she's right, period. I mean, and that's what it is like what I see when I watch this movie, when I'm looking at it critically and not just enjoying the fanciness, is how a society is built on the body of one woman. And she's carrying so much weight, like the whole future of the Moulin Rouge, all of Christian's aspirations, all of the Duke's aspirations, everything is built on Satine's body. And that body is betraying her. And that body is betraying her, and she's going to die. And we're supposed to feel bad for Christian after that. And I just...
And he's awful to her. He is terrible to her.
Oh
at
my
the
God.
end.
Yeah, I'm so
and
angry
she's
with him.
just like sobbing and crying like, no, but baby, no. Are you kidding me?
Right.
He is awful.
I'm
He's
going to
disgustingly...
I'm going to throw money at you right now. When
shame you.
All she ever tried to do...
Publicly shame...
Well, and she was bearing the weight of the fact that she knew that the Duke wanted to kill him. She was bearing the weight of the deeds of the Moulin Rouge having been given to the Duke, which she did not agree to. She was bearing the weight, of her whole community. A community, by the way, I mean, except for Chocolat, a community that was like really okay with like telling the Duke about her and Christian.
Yes.
And she was bearing all of that weight. That's what I meant. It's like all of that weight was on her shoulders.
She, throughout the whole movie, is completely dehumanized. She is absolutely objectified by everyone in the film.
And I think that we're supposed to see her as mercenary. Like, we're supposed to see her as a mercenary person that her arc is to go from being mercenary to being someone who actually believes in love. And I don't see her as mercenary, and I see her as always having been that person who believes in love. But she had to fight it because the reality of a woman in the late 1800s of her class was pretty much like do that. I mean, there are a lot of things she could do, but like in her case, she was doing what she was doing to get by.
Yeah.
And she had, because she was put in the center stage, again, stages, like so much stages.
So many stages. Yes.
Because she was put in the center of that stage, she was the one who was carrying them all with her. Sorry, I know. This is where I went today with this.
There's a lot. I was surprised at how dark the movie really is. I had forgotten about I had forgotten about the context of Roxanne and just how messed up things got.
The Roxanne thing is gorgeous for me, and I feel like that's the only time where the film is criticizing Christian, really.
Oh, how do you mean?
Oh, I don't see Roxanne as judging her. I see Roxanne as judging him.
Oh, walk me through that.
Because it doesn't say, like, it says you are at fault when you choose to love a woman who sells her body for money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying like that there's anything necessarily wrong with selling your body for money. The problem is that you expected to get away with loving her and not having jealousy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying then. Sure. That makes sense.
Right? Because the dancer in the center, she's not choosing to dance with all those different men for the fun of it.
Right. Yeah, this is...
Because this is the one moment. It's like, now I've always loved that part, but now I kind of love it more because I feel like it's the moment where the film is being honest about what's going on here. Is that he's consumed with, like, when he says to her, when he meets with her after she appeases the Duke, and he's like, I don't want you to sleep with him. She's not going to sleep with him. She's going to sell her body.
Right.
That is not sleeping with. That's
not
choosing.
It's not
she's
the
not
same.
Dating. She's not dating another guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like those diamonds, she didn't say, oh my God, I love those diamonds. I'm so happy now.
Right. Yeah. This is a transaction I wanted. Yeah.
Right. And how quickly does that go from when she says no, she doesn't get to say no because it was transactional, and it goes towards rape. So for Christian to be like brooding with his jealousy when Satine is in a situation that's like actually dangerous to her body in the immediate and to her livelihood and the livelihood of all of them.
All the people. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So for him to be brooding about his jealousy in that moment is the most self-indulgent thing in the world.
He is the worst. I really dislike Christian throughout basically the whole movie.
Okay, except when he's singing and being lovely, then I love him. Like when he smiles and it's adorable.
I
have
get
the moments
charm.
of loving him.
I get it. No, of course. Yeah, he is very charming and sweet. He's got a great smile. He sings beautifully. I do like when she comes to him right after that scene, right after Roxanne, and he says, I don't care about the show. I just care about you. Like that is very sweet. But
again, but
I
she
do wonder, like, if they're living in squalor somewhere.
Away.
Exactly. Yeah.
She says that. She does say that thing. She's like, you can leave.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. Sorry.
No, don't apologize to me. I mean, it's all there. It's very textual. Yeah. It's not like you're peeling back layers and digging. It's just what's right there.
It's extremely right. Oh, right. In Roxanne, they added, and I double checked the actual lyrics of the Sting. Like the part that the Argentinian is singing is from Roxanne. But Christian's lines are not.
No, they're just.
And he says, you're free to leave me, but please don't deceive me. She never deceived him. Mm-mm. And she was not free to leave him because he had hung his jealousy like an albatross around her neck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like that. No, that's good.
I keep apologizing.
No, but it is the weakest, most insecure. You're right. When he's down there brooding in the streets, you're free to leave me. Just don't deceive me and believe me when I say I love you. It's like, could you be more of just a puny, wimpy, insecure guy? Like, yeah, you brought this on yourself. You knew who she was, what she did for a living, like. And now you're blaming
if anything,
her?
If anyone deceived anyone, it was him because he said, I won't be jealous.
That's right. That's right. Ugh, gross. I do not like him. I don't. I've paid my whore. Fuck you.
Oh, God. I know.
Sorry.
I know. All right. Let's talk about some delightful
Let's talk about
things.
something happy. Let's talk about that moment where they spin with the umbrella on the roof and sing.
Okay, wait.
And the
I have one
moon
more
is
bad
an
thing
opera
first.
singer. Okay, fine.
Wait, hold
Damn
that.
it,
Hold
Daphne.
that. I will
Okay.
cue you to do that again in a second. Okay.
You said happy things.
I know. Okay, one more difficult thing.
Okay. Okay.
Let's talk about the song Like a Virgin, which is my least favorite moment. It has always been. That's my cringy. But I started to realize.
I remember
so
thinking it
this
was
is
hysterical when I first saw it. Of course, I was like 16.
funny. I did not think it was hysterical. I thought it was cringy.
Uh-huh.
This is the moment that makes me think that perhaps Baz, like all the stuff we just criticized, this is the moment that makes me think that perhaps this is what he wanted us to do all along. Like, I'm kind of mad if he wants this to just be about love. And that's certainly like anyone who talks about this movie, anything like it talks about the power of love. I forced myself. I actually usually skip this song. I forced myself not to skip it.
Really?
I
Wow.
really dislike it.
Even the little jello boobs, they're kind of funny.
Nope. I dislike it. And now I know why. I forced myself to watch it twice. And now I know why I dislike it so much. Because, I mean, again, that period of Madonna was a really big deal for me and I think most young women at that time. Like Madonna's whole, like her version of, you know, we can critique that some other day. We don't need to go down the like critiquing how Madonna expressed feminism through her shtick. But Like a Virgin was part of that, was part of her like rebellion against the constraints of what she had grown up with thinking sexuality, you know, what femalehood and like the gender constraints that she had grown up with. And that was part of her process. And it was a fun process and we all were like really into it. But when it's a woman singing Like a Virgin, it's her embracing her sexuality, you know, and perhaps in a way that makes people uncomfortable, but that's her right.
Right.
The minute you have a man singing about a woman to another man using those exact same words.
Oh, no, I think that was purposeful. Like it was
Right.
supposed to be disgusting and salacious and just misogynistic, I think. Like,
Right.
I think that was purposeful. It is those things.
Right. But see, I never delved into it because just like, it was just so gross for me.
Oh,
And
it is
that's
gross.
probably why it was so gross.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just
but
so
I think
gross
that
for
was
me.
purposeful.
Right. No. So that makes me think that perhaps everything we just talked about Satine, like perhaps this is what the movie's doing. Perhaps the movie is actually criticizing the men, even Christian. Like perhaps the movie is saying maybe this is
Not so funny anymore, huh? Now,
Right.
Who's laughing now? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is that
Interesting.
perhaps this film actually, again, intentionally or unintentionally, the intent of the creators, not really an issue. But this possibly fits within, you know, that type of storytelling that you and I both enjoy of exposing the ways that women were limited and constrained and left with bad choices and had to make choices amongst bad choices, and how that shows the history of what women had to deal with. I mean, still do, but you know, in different periods had to deal with. So the flip side of me being really annoyed is me saying, okay, perhaps this text, when you actually look at it, is a pretty interesting text from that perspective of where you show just how much Satine was both constrained by gender and also burdened by gender, and it's actually a pretty great text for that. Like, if you know what I mean, it's like exactly the reasons that we were angry.
Right. If it's
Are the
supposed to
reas-
anger you a little bit, if it's supposed to kind of light a fire in your belly. Interesting.
Again, I don't really care. I ultimately don't care if that was Baz Luhrmann's intent. Like if it holds up as that kind of text, then that's a neat thing. Like that
Yeah,
you came,
sure.
that you came for your spoonful of sugar and you got your medicine at the same time.
Yes.
Just, bring in another musical reference.
Right.
we should have decided that we need to like analyze this movie only with musical references.
Oh God.
No, I'm joking. I would be so bad at that.
I was going to say I would win.
Yeah, you would totally win. I would be so. If you want me to analyze this text with Black Sails references, I would do just fine.
Then you're a girl, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seriously like, even though I kind of watched this, not so much scrutinizing it twice this week, and then sat down and really watched and scrutinized. This last watch, I feel like is still really kind of marinating for me. Like I'm still like going. I'm saying like, okay, there is all this pretty stuff and these moving moments that I really love. We will get back to that elephant. I promise you, we will talk about that. But I just really wanted to talk about this other stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense or I mean, whether it was intentional or not, I think you're right. Reading as a little bit of sociopolitical commentary.
Mm-hmm. Not what I realized I was going to be talking about tonight.
Of which I think Zidler is the worst. I think Zidler is the most villainous in several ways.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, yeah, right, because he actually does know her, unlike the two men who think they're in love with her.
Right. No, he is absolutely.
Mm-hmm. He's manipulated her. He's like, he's like, what is it in Oliver Twist?
He's the worst version. Yes, Bob Fagin. Is that it?
The guy,
definitely
with the
Fagin.
Pickpockets. The guy with the pickpockets.
The pickpocket kid guy. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, no, sure, I love you as long as you get me, as long as you, fill my pocketbook.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, and she does call him out. She does actually call all of them out.
No, she does. Mm-hmm.
Why did I mean, maybe I just never bothered to look at it in that way because I just wanted to like see the pretty, be moved by the medley.
She's quite smart in many ways. Again, in the medley, I love that when they switch to the We Could Be Heroes, and she's like, "You will be mean, and I'll drink all the time."
Right, which are actually the lines of that song, which I just love. That's where the cleverness.
Is it? I thought it was. You will be mean. You will be king, and I will be queen.
No, I'm pretty sure that is. See, this is the thing that I meant to do. Like, the thing I've always meant to do is go through every single song reference and figure out what they did. Mm. How many years has it been? 17 years? 17 years I've been meaning to do that. Oh, and at the very end of the medley, too, she says, "You're going to be bad for business, I can tell." And it's kind of a cute line, but it's actually not cute. No, and that is from something else, too. What is that
from?
Is
it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. That's fun.
Oh, well. If anyone can find the website I've always wanted, which will actually explain every single line in the medley of what song as I do think they all came from songs, but I could be wrong. I've always assumed that they mash up songs
with the songs. It is a mashup, but they play with the lyrics a fair bit.
Right, but the question is if they're playing with the lyrics using other lyrics.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Fun.
Like in Roxanne, they definitely just added Christian's lines. The question is in the Elephant medley, because all of the lines sound really familiar to me, or sounded really familiar back then. Like now they sound familiar to me because of Moulin Rouge. But I do remember. I remember that my impression was that these were all lyrics I knew, but I couldn't necessarily place where each one was coming from.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. But I've never found that website. So if anyone knows that website, please.
Right? Some nerd had to have done that at some point, right?
God,
someone who's just like obsessive.
Yes.
That would be great.
I so want that. I so want it. Now let's move on to the fun. I mean, I guess we were talking about the fun part, but let's move on to the fun. Tell me about the fun, Elizabeth.
Tell you about the fun. Okay. I know it's silly and ridiculous. I think Spectacular is really fun and cute.
Do you like that?
I enjoy it. There's a couple parts I don't like. The bouncing up and down doesn't work for me anymore. When I first saw it, I thought it was really funny. But the little pretend performance of the play that they do all of the sudden and like running around trying to find costumes, I find very cute. Actually, that part works for me a lot. And then I really genuinely want to see the play that they eventually put on in the end. Like, that's freaking gorgeous and amazing, right? The costumes and the India, and it's so cool.
Yes, I love that too.
And a beautiful scene. The rose petals falling, and God, they went all out. That was a hell of a show.
That's true. It is really fun. It's so funny because, like, I feel like I don't pay enough attention to it usually, but I do love, like, when you first starts and you start hearing the Indian style music and all of that. It's very, very fun.
And there's the kind of diamonds are a girl's best friend thing that they kind of bring in there. Oh, it's so fun. And I love those costumes.
I love the costumes too. And I like the whole diamond thing. I think it's kind of fascinating how diamonds are a girl's best friend like comes back. I mean, again, this is part of this beautiful thing of like the play reflecting the story, the actual story, and vice versa. But I guess that's what I meant. Like this whole idea that Satine is mercenary is like you. This is your introduction to her. Is diamonds are a girl's best friend, and that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily find that mercenary though. I mean, shallow maybe, but not necessarily mercenary. I mean, again, because I think with sex work in general, it is a transaction, and if everybody's getting what they want, then yeah, like I don't necessarily find her manipulative or
not what was it? Smoldering
temptress. What's his type? Yeah, well, but that's just being good at your job.
Right. That's just good customer service.
That's exactly right. That is good customer service. That is being great at your job. That is giving the people what they want. Like, yeah, you're going to get a blowjob too, but do you want like the best one of your life because this is every fantasy you've ever had? Or you just want it to feel good? Like, you know?
Exactly. Right. Like she seems legitimately a bit insulted when
she does. When he's like, let's just get to it. I'd rather just get it over with. She's like, I'm an artist. Fuck you. Yes.
Exactly.
Go downstairs and have Lily take care of you, all right? If that's all you want.
It's totally true. You're right. I take it back. Just really good at her job.
Right? That's what makes her a courtesan.
Totally true. That's totally true. Yes. No, she's excellent. Wow, it's so funny. Like I'm just all I still stand by not thinking that Nicole Kidman's performance all of the time is the best thing, but Satine as a character,
Satine is wonderful, and Nicole Kidman's performance sometimes I like. I just feel like I want her to dial it back a lot.
Right. I think she just didn't. She didn't do the outrageous that well. She did the actual acting very well because she is a good actress. But the madcap stuff is just not really her strength.
I think that's right. And maybe that's why it didn't play and came out as inauthentic. And some of that works when I think that we're supposed to think that Satine is not a very good actress. But we are supposed to think that she's very good at her job. And that means she has to be at least a little bit of a good actress.
Right.
You know? But when she comes in to the apartment to tell Christian, the Duke came and offered me everything I've ever dreamed of or whatever.
Right.
It's bad acting. Like it's overdone. It's like she's reading from a script on a stage. And I think this isn't making me think that Satine is good at her job. You know what I mean?
But you get to be a real actress.
Right. Although I do like when they're discovered during the play within a play. And she says, I think the poor Duke is just being treated appallingly, and goes down and she works with him pretty well. Right. Yeah. Right. And I don't know if that's just because the Duke is more of a simpleton, or maybe it just feels like this is more where she is comfortable and confident, where there are no emotions attached.
I think they just the characterization is just a bit haphazard, honestly. Like, we're being honest about it.
I don't think it's that thoughtful, Elizabeth. Okay, fair.
I mean, I would love to believe that it was part of some grand scheme that makes sense, but right.
It's
I
just
think
spotty, you think?
I think they just chose to have her be really good at that stuff when it suited the story for her to be good at it.
The script, God, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fair. I think you're probably right. But I feel the same way about Christian, because I think that sometimes we're supposed to really like him and think he's romantic and wonderful and want them to get together. But I don't think that. I think that he's awful and selfish and a child.
Well, he is. When you really look at him, he is. And there are those moments that are easy to get swept up in, and maybe that's appropriate too, because Satine's no dummy. So the fact that she got swept up, we need to buy that. We need to buy that she would get swept up in that.
Yeah, yeah.
And, Ewan McGregor, that man smiles.
It's a really good smile.
Yeah.
Like, he sometimes has that kind of like...
I don't know what it is. Yep.
He doesn't always have it. Sometimes he can be he can play derpy and he can play seedy really well. But when he turns on that charm, damn, if it doesn't really work.
I know, right?
Yeah. No, he's very good at it.
I mean, part of his charm for her, and I do buy this also, part of his charm for her is that he's so innocent, is that he's so not part of,
of course,
even if we don't call her mercenary, the world is mercenary. Let's say that.
Certainly
like the world
so.
that she exists in is.
That underworld, yes.
Right. It's a world of performative everything, pretty much.
Yes.
I mean, in addition to them actually being performers, it's performative in that they're creating a mystique that people are buying into. Like, that's the whole... I mean, that's in a way, that's kind of the can-can. Like, the can-can is a dance where it looks like you're showing everything, but I mean, certainly for those times, like showing a scandalous amount. But, it's like with all of that swooshing fabric, there's always this sense that you're actually getting to see more than you are.
Interesting.
And I just feel like there's something so, it's that thing, like you see them all at, they're doing their performance, right? With all the men in top hats, all these rich men who had come to
with the Nirvana, Here We Are Now Entertain Us, which works for me very well every time. I really like that, actually.
Yes. Oh, right. I did write that down, and I forgot. Like that, I liked that the men. Right. The Here We Are Now Entertain Us is also a hilarious flipping of the meaning of that song. But
yes.
but I love that you have this thing of like the men marching in as a group, and then all of the women on stage, and like they're all like in their top hats and their very straight lined suits. And they're stomping and their grunge music.
Yes.
And the women on the other side are in their, so many colors and so many fabrics, and disco on the flip side.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that was just so that was, I think, actually my first cue when I watched earlier this week, where I was like, okay, I really need to like look at what's happening here with gender. Like, this isn't like the other stories where this is about individuals. Like that moment is like, sure, it's chaos. We're supposed to get all of the chaos and the noise and all that. But it just was such a stark thing of like, here are the men marching forth and here are the women doing their thing. And there's just like this barrier. Like I wrote, it was like they met, it was like they were kind of coming at each other. And then out of that, you get Ziedler calling for the can-can. And so it just really felt like this movie, again, intentionally or not intentionally, is kind of about gender.
Yeah. No, I think that's completely right.
I keep taking the lovely stuff and getting all serious.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, I think with Lily and the Argentinian, gosh, does he
he's
have
just
a
the
name?
Argentinian.
He's just the
I don't
Argentinian?
think he has a name.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
Yep.
I was like,
he's the Argentinian with narcolepsy. That's who he is.
Yes. Oh man, but that was very interesting. Gender commentary too, because he has basically the same job, right?
The performing, or you think that he's also?
I was thinking sex work.
Having sex
actually,
I don't know if he's a sex worker. You think that the men are also sex workers?
Well, just him particularly. Well, and the ones that I suppose are in the Roxanne scene, like the dancers.
Huh.
They might not be, I suppose.
I have no idea. I didn't see anything that suggested specifically that they are.
There wasn't, really.
And the only person who explicitly is Satine. I mean, except for the fact that all of the dancers are singing Moulin Rouge.
Right. Yes. Uh-huh.
So there is that. I don't know. I mean, she is the only person that we actually see doing sex work.
Yeah.
We do see the women dancing with men, which doesn't mean necessarily, although, again, tied with the song. What I found fascinating, I don't know where the Argentinian stands. Oh, no, because he's part of Toulouse's gang.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like maybe he was brought in for this play, that he's not actually
That's
a part
right, because
of
at that
the Moulin
point it's
Rouge.
like they're doing the rehearsals
Right.
for
He's
the play.
one of the
That's true.
Bohemians who's brought in for the play.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, yes.
Chocolat, I think, is part, because he was part of... He was
That's right.
part
He
of
was in the beginning.
In the beginning on the stage when they were still just doing dancing, before they were becoming a proper theater. I don't know. Right. And you have that one flash of the two tattooed men dancing with each other.
Right.
Which, honestly, I think I just have to say now that Baz Luhrmann just likes to throw homoerotic stuff in for titillation, honestly. I don't know. Like, I don't think he's actually, we did have Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet, and I think that had weight to it beyond, but it was just hinted at anyway. Yeah, I think he just throws that stuff in for...
I'm inclined to agree.
For the fun of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that thoughtful.
No, I don't think so either. I would like for it to be, but I don't think it is. And so, I don't know if any of the men are sex workers. We don't know for sure if any of the women are. What I really liked was the contrast between how they're performing for the rich people and then when you see them having their party afterwards. Like, it's not a cast party because it's not a play yet, but, like when you see all of them, drinking and eating in Toulouse's apartment.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so now I guess we should talk about Toulouse, like how...
Toulouse is so heartbreaking because he has all these... He has like how do you call them, an entourage? But they don't seem to be friends, really, either.
Oh, I think they are friends. Like his play, like the group in the beginning in his apartment when he first meets Christian.
Yes.
I would call those a friend group. I mean, they're, none of them get a lot of character development.
That's true. I guess I just think of that. I think of him on that balcony singing that last little bit, how wonderful life is. Now you're in the world to no one, just alone and with makeup dripping down his face. And it's just haunting. It's so sad.
It is. And I wish that was about him. I never feel like that's actually about Toulouse. Like, I think that Toulouse is also used for atmosphere. Like he only serves
like
Christian story.
Though.
Right. No, I agree with you on that part. I mean, I love John Leguizamo a whole lot. And I love especially seeing him be Tybalt and then seeing him be Toulouse in the span of 2 weeks is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
No, I think that Toulouse honestly really just serves Christian story. I don't see Toulouse. Again, I mean, he's more of an archetype than a person. Like
I don't like that though, because he was a real person. He's a real historical figure and an artist.
Right, who was a very tragic figure and had an interesting story, but this isn't his story.
No, I know.
He was. I mean, he's there like Ziedler's there. Like, these are the historic people of this story who were part of the world of the Moulin Rouge, and Ziedler got. I mean, he's also, he doesn't have a lot of interiority. He does not
no,
but he has more story than Toulouse does. But they both really are just like historical names that kind of anchor us with the actual Moulin Rouge of that time. But they both really just serve the Christian and Satine's story.
Yeah.
I mean, hard to say serve her story, but you know what I mean? Like serve the tragedy of her story. But yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. There might be a reading of Toulouse that is much more interesting than that. I would like to think so, but I don't really think so. I mean,
Not
he's like,
here.
He's
I
like
don't think so.
wacky. He's tragic.
Yes.
He's like, his range is like full on misery and wackiness. That's
Well, and they don't even make him a good artist. Like, he's fumbling this play that he's writing, and Christian has to come in and save it. He can't get his lines down. He can't make the entrance that he, like, they really
Right.
make him a fool.
right. That's probably the best category to put him in.
Yeah.
Actually, is that he speaks the truth. He is kind of the fool. Actually, he is the person who speaks the truth through humor.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he is actually that.
Which I would like better if it wasn't actually Toulouse-Lautrec, if it was just a character that they threw in there.
Right. That's so true. Huh.
It feels disrespectful.
Yeah,
to me.
it does. Right.
I do like the movie, though. I feel like I'm saying a lot of critical things. It's very magical.
It is very magical.
It's so interesting because I think that of all of the Baz Luhrmann movies, like, this hits the magical moments the strongest,
Right.
and the most just take your breath away.
Yep.
But I also find it the most problematic.
Yes, exactly. Wow. This is not the podcast episode I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I think it feels true. I mean, it feels very true to me.
Oh, it will be wonderful to live tweet, though, won't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
If anyone still likes us after this.
I think that we've talked about the magic and the delight. I should say too that my Nicole Kidman's eye makeup, when we first see her doing "The French Are Glad to Die,"
Yes.
oh my god, I remember when somebody, CoverGirl or Maybelline or whatever, did that palette, and it was so obviously that palette. They didn't call it Moulin Rouge, but they called it like Starlet or something. It's like, whatever. You know that this was the Moulin Rouge palette. We know.
They didn't call it the Satine.
Right. Like, they carefully didn't, infringe trademark agreements or anything. But yes. But I remember trying to perfect that look. And I remember everybody had that earring there for a while. Like, you could find a lot of that kind of style. And then, of course, the whole Voulez-vous coucher or whatever. The
Right.
Lady Marmalade was such a big thing with Christina Aguilera and Pink, was it?
Right. For me, that's a song from the 70s.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's probably where it should have stayed.
Oh no, I love that song. Oh no, don't mess with me and my disco.
No, I mean, they should have left it alone, is what I meant to say. Like they should not have probably. I mean, it's fine, but I don't like the remix.
Oh, that's interesting. See, I did want to bring this up. I love all of the ways that they did the music in this.
Yeah?
Like, for me, that they didn't end up replacing the originals, except for one, which is Roxanne. Like,
Yeah.
Roxanne.
God, that's good.
I kind of feel like possibly, like, I feel like there's a possibility that Baz Luhrmann started with that song and built a film around it.
It's possible.
Right? Because that is what the song's
It's
about.
incredible.
The song is about what this movie's about.
Yeah.
And the
that would be
first
interesting.
time I
Yeah, to
heard
find
it,
out.
right? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, but it kind
There's
of feels.
no
I mean,
way to
it is also like the two. I mean, it's really interesting. The two musical moments that we agreed in the beginning that we love the most are the two turning points. Those are the
Yes.
two crucial turning points of the film, which means that they did it right. Like the movie that was supposed to be about the power of song, like the musical moments that really move us the most are the ones that we're supposed to
Yes.
like take the story in a new direction. But I remember when I first heard that version of Roxanne, I was just immediately said, yeah, Roxanne was always supposed to be, it was just meant to be a tango. Like, it just should have been a tango from the beginning. The what the song is saying so suits both that musical style and that dance style.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I feel like just that little section is a short story on its own. Like you can watch that alone,
absolutely,
and get an excellent experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is totally true. Yeah, kind of like a music video, actually.
Yes, it's very much like a music video.
Now I'm thinking about that.
Like a good music video, because some music videos are complete garbage. Like 90% of them are garbage.
Right, but when it's done right, that is actually what it's doing. Where it's where there you add visuals to a song and you tell a little story.
Yeah. My one regret in that scene is that we don't always see I want to see more of the dance. Yeah, like they cut away a lot, or they'll just show their like shoulders and up. Like I want to see what their bodies are doing. Like I want to see the whole dance, please.
Yeah. Tango is so beautiful. Are you ready to move on to favorite things?
Yeah, sure. You tell me first. What's your favorite part?
Well, my favorite part is Roxanne, but I'm going to choose something else since we've already talked about that a lot. Actually, my favorite outfit, possibly in all of movies, is the one that Satine is wearing when she's going to break Christian's heart. Like that
Isn't
one.
It that's so good.
That is my absolute favorite. I have 2 jackets that are like I bought because they kind of do that shape. That jacket that she's wearing. It is it's so beautiful.
I used to have a jacket very reminiscent to that too, because for that reason it reminded me of that. Oh, I don't have it anymore. It was wool and I'm allergic, so I finally got rid of it.
But it's also interesting, like that her clothing does actually transform. Like I always focus on that one, and then I realized that like when they go on the picnic, also she goes from very very glittery, shiny, very very femme clothing towards clothing that's more and more playing on men's suits,
on menswear. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have not figured out what that means, but it's fascinating. And I love them all. The costumes are incredible, but the menswear ones are my favorites. I mean, that's always been a thing for me. Is I love.
It was a great time for men's fashion,
right? Exactly. Well, and I love women's fashion that is based on menswear. That is my favorite aesthetic.
You've always liked that. Yeah, that's true.
And that dress is the pinnacle as far as I'm concerned. So that's my favorite thing.
Of course, I've always loved the red satin dress.
Yes.
And I think that Elephant Love Medley is my favorite part. It's just so magical.
It is so my heart soars
all them every time. And how cliche and silly is it to end with Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You, and fireworks. But it works.
I love it so
works.
And that song was just everywhere. That's what's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Baz Luhrmann was like fucking with us. He's like, I'm going to end this with a song that you probably hate already.
It might as well be
heard it
like
too
Celine
much.
Dion, My Heart Will Go On. Like, are you kidding me? Yes.
Right. It's just there were songs like that just became so pervasive that even if you liked it once upon a time,
you just can't anymore.
You can't anymore. And I love that he ended with that, and that and it's so kitsch. And you have the fireworks, and you have the kind of crappy looking now digital like background and all of that.
Yep.
And I don't care. I don't care
either. Yep, it's just beautiful. Yes, please. Another slice of chocolate cake.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. All the reward centers in my brain just firing.
It's so crazy. And it's like almost against my will. I mean, and not in a bad way, like, because I don't like when a movie manipulates me emotionally against my will.
But it is. It's like it's the courtesan thing.
Yeah. Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, that actually is a whole nother way to investigate this film, huh? Is that how, like, look
like
how
when you're being manipulated and you know it, but you like it.
Like, look at us. Yeah. Look how much we just criticized this film and then at the same time said, hey, we can't wait to live tweet it.
Yeah. No, it's so true.
Oh my God. Maybe this movie is just a giant courtesan manipulating us, giving us what we want, even if we don't think we want it.
Yeah. I didn't want it like this, though, but it feels so good. Yes.
Oh my God.
You don't really love me. Do that again, though.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Yep. Sign me up.
Right? Shut up and take my money.
Can't believe that's so true. Baz Luhrmann is a courtesan, manipulating my emotions to give me joy.
Yep.
Okay. I admit it. Alrighty, everyone. So we keep talking about this live tweet. This episode is dropping on Monday, March 12th, and we are going to do a live tweet on Thursday, the 15th at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time. And we just can't wait to live tweet this with you. So definitely live tweet using the hashtags Moulin Rouge and hashtag Can I Just Say? And that way we'll see your tweets, and it's going to be lots of fun. And I promise not to be negative. I promise to just... Okay, I can't make that promise.
I make no promises.
Yeah,
I promise to be there with bells on and have a great time.
Right. And I might give Christian shit, and sorry.
I will definitely give Christian shit.
Right.
Definitely so. Guaranteed.
And also, let's talk about everyone's homework for our episode.
Yes. This is something I'm very excited about.
Yes. So your homework for our March 26th episode is to read Howard's End by E.M. Forster. I just tweeted that it was this week 99 cents on Kindle.
Oh, wonderful.
I don't know if that's still true when you hear this episode, but find that book, go to your library, go to your shelf.
I got
sure
a
a lot
lovely
of you
version
already have
from
it.
Barnes and Noble. They do their classics on paperback are always so beautiful. Yeah.
So we're going to read Howard's End because the limited 4-episode series of Howard's End is about to come to Stars in April, and I should know what day it's starting. Maybe the 7th. I don't remember. But
it's my birthday.
Yeah, that's true. It might be for your birthday.
Yeah.
We will be covering the series that was on the BBC. So some of you may have seen it already.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It was on the BBC, and it is coming to Stars in April. So we're going to do the same thing that we did with Jane Eyre, where we're going to discuss the book. We haven't talked about if we're going to look at the movie.
We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to decide about the movie, but we definitely are going to do the book and the series. Suddenly, I have the urge to rewatch. I've watched all of the Merchant Ivory films, I think, but I have the urge to rewatch them because James Ivory just won his first Oscar for screenplay for Call Me by Your Name.
Oh, wow. That is so exciting.
First after all of these movies. So I was very excited for him, and I suddenly have the urge to just go back and watch all those movies again. I may do it anyway, and maybe we'll do it for the podcast, but for sure we're going to do the book next, and then we'll do the series. And so hopefully y'all have Stars. If you don't have Stars,
get on it, y'all.
Yeah, get Stars already. We seem to always cover things that are on Stars.
Yes.
That is not intentional. It just is happening that way. I think that's it. Let's go read Howard's End.
Excellent. It's beautifully written. I'm enjoying it very much.
Yeah, it is really beautiful.
There's so much interiority also, which is really hard to pick up in an adaptation because there's a really strong narrative voice. So I do recommend reading the book.
Yes. E.M. Forster is a beautiful writer.
Definitely worth the time. Okay, well, this has been lovely as always, Daphne. So until next time, from Common Room Radio, I'm Elizabeth Stevens.
And I'm Daphne Olive. Can I Just Say podcast is a Common Room Radio production. For more information and our other shows, visit commonroomradio.com. To show your support, pledges of as little as $1 a month can make a big difference. Visit patreon.com/commonroomradio to pledge support and access bonus features that are just for patrons. And join the conversation by using the hashtag CanIJustSay and follow us on Twitter @JustSayPodcast. We request that you keep your tweets respectful and positive, and you can always email us at podcast@commonroomradio.com. Thanks for listening.
First, there is desire. Then, passion. Then, suspicion. Jealousy, anger, betrayal. When love is for the highest bidder, there can be no trust. Without trust, there is no love. Jealousy. Yes, jealousy will drive you mad. Roxanne, you don't have to put on that red light.